Hello there, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of URC Unloaded, where we review and preview all the URC games. And of course, to do that, we have Tom Shanklin, John Barclay. How you doing, lads? Keeping all right?
Very good, thank you, Stevie.
Thank you, John. You go first.
Well, I left a gap. I was being polite, and then you didn't say anything, so I thought I'll fill the silence. So I'm good, Steve. My wife's been away for the last 4 days, so she's been looking after the kids, just spending some one-on-one time with the kids, and it's been magic.
That's the thing with you, though, John, isn't it? You know,
here we go.
Yeah. You're a binge dad. You're a binge dad, is what you are.
A binge dad. I'm a
you
full-time dad.
You look after your kids like you drink alcohol. That's what you do.
Mate, you don't even know your kids' names.
Shanks, tell me this. Have you deleted that Instagram post of you mocking me at the weekend?
Mate, you went for me first. You went for me first with a fake tan. I had nowhere left to go apart from the head. That will always be your weakness, mate. The hair is your kryptonite. Until it goes, it's always going to be my go-to.
Well, we'll move quickly on from my hair and introduce our guest. Something a bit different lack of it. Something a bit different this week, lads. He's an agent in rugby and has been a good pal of mine for many years. And he is the director of Sports Management. Used to be Edge Rugby Management. It's John Andress. John, how's it going? How you keeping?
Not too bad, man.
Give everybody a little insight into you, just your rugby background. First of all, John, I know we played with each other underage stuff as a reference, but how did you move from finishing up and then moving into the business world with the agency?
I played professional rugby for 12 years, countless different clubs. So I played in the URC in the Premiership. And then when I finished up, I thought there was a bit of a gap in the market. From being a player and had experience of agents, I thought there was a gap in the market for more of a player-focused agency. I'd watched a documentary on Jorge Mendes, the football agent in Portugal, and just saw how it was like a holistic sort of package he offered, and I thought that was missing in rugby. He was more about the player than he was about the club, which a lot of football agents are, as you can see, why the clubs hate them. So, yeah, that's why I set up the agency.
Talk me through your time at Munster, John.
I was there for 6 months. Went at 33, I think it was. Didn't play and retired, and then came out of retirement 4 weeks later to play for Connacht.
You're like the RG Snyman before.
No, not quite as well paid.
John, you kind of reference it there. I mean, I had a couple agents in my career. I can say it now. I don't speak to them anymore. What was your experience as a player with your agents? Because I find agents can be, especially when you're a youngster coming through, I think there's an expectation from youngsters. They're always looking for boots and like cars and stuff. And that's the hard bit, I suppose. But actually, the agents that really look after you, what was your experience as a player versus now what you're trying to do? Because it's hard. You got to make money as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, I had a decent experience with my agent. He was, compared to most of them, he was fairly useful now, but it did feel, if you're in a 2-year deal, the first year that you're not hearing from them very much. And when it's coming around to negotiation times, you're hearing more from them. And it's not that input around like, we'll speak to a coach on your behalf, to see what you can work on, or, getting you hooked in with someone that can give you feedback on your game and stuff like that. It was never in terms of improving the player or help in terms of when you move, we'll link you in with someone or help out in that way. It was very much contract based. I can place you here and I'm good at what I do and negotiate, but there wasn't much outside of that.
John, how do you identify talent? So I know you would travel to some games and that, but you obviously don't go after every Irish under 20 player that there is or every English under 20 player that there is. Do you sort of nitpick in what area you want to try and go after, or is it just through relationships? Is it through clubs that you've played with, or what way do you approach it?
I suppose it's a bit of everything, to be honest. I think you're reliant on relationships you have within the game, particularly in the coaching environment, to give you heads up on certain players. And then you can do a background check, go and watch them yourself. The underage pathway is obviously a really good pathway, especially under 20s level. It's a good shot window. So you're always watching those games, even in the schools games. If you get a heads up on players, you can watch them early doors. Obviously, within the agency, we have other agents operating elsewhere that are doing their own checks and players, and you're chatting on a group.
Whereabouts are they, John? Whereabouts are the other agents?
Jack Cosgrove is based in England, so he does England and Wales for us. He's based down the bottom there. And then we've an agent we work with, Craig Livingstone, who it's a partnership agreement. He's in South Africa. So he's been in the game a long time. He looks after the likes of Eddie Jones, Johan van Graan, etc. And then we've another agent in France that we do work with. So I think we use each other's connections and communicate pretty well. So it all, if you trust someone's opinion on players, it counts for a lot as well, because if you have an ex-teammate that's in coaching says, watch out for this lad, you're going to take his word on it.
What's the most popular or important position? What are all the coaches asking you to find? Is there a certain, if you had to pick one position that just coaches, director of rugby's are after, what is it?
I would say, your 10's definitely the most sought after position. At the minute, locks are very sought after. It seems to be a position that, there's not that many big over 6'5" coordinated athletes. And then there a lot of teams now are looking for a ball carrying back row, someone that can really get gain line, and then tight head props probably after that. Center's actually another one that's become, a lot of teams are looking for a top class center as well.
Well, you've just mentioned us all, mate. So
Good baggage.
Scrum halves and hookers seem to be the ones at the minute aren't as in demand. There seems to be a lot of them about.
It's mad. John, just in terms of the market, I look back a couple of years ago, just after I retired, and it seemed like the wages were getting crazy. Looking at some of the bigger positions, especially down in England, I guess Leinster and some of the French clubs. That's obviously changed a lot at the moment. Just give us, I don't think people fully understand how hard the market is, and for clubs and agents, look at, I guess, like Scarlets and the Welsh regions trying to piece together squads at the moment.
Yeah, no, the market it's totally different. Even the time frames, there used to be pre-COVID, there was an unwritten rule, sort of by the end of March, all activity had ceased. But now, the market just seems to be going on later and later each year. I think the clubs are happy to sit in the market longer because, with the collapse of clubs, you have a lot of players still on the market and they get their pick and cheaper options. So it would be a bugbear of mine because I don't think it's fair on the players. People have wives, kids, they've other responsibilities in life, and to let guys go on till that late worrying, I don't know. It's turned into a bit of a meat market, and I do think that it needs to be policed. I think that there needs to be sanctions put in place that make the clubs stick to strict criteria that is beneficial for the players, because to be honest, I don't think at the minute the players there's enough of an outlook for them.
John, there's 6 weeks left of the season. last week or 10 days ago, you just got the Anton Frisch deal over the line with Toulon. Is this now the busiest?
It can't be. That can't be. We can't discuss that yet because it hasn't been announced. So he's preempting. Like,
God's sake, Stevie.
No. That's a situation I can't discuss. That's all I can say. But yeah, go ahead.
No, but fair enough. But in terms of, is this now the busiest time of your year, like the last 6 weeks of the season, where you're saying there it used to be January, February, March? Is it now the tail end of the season where you have young academy guys knocking on your door saying, where am I going to next? Can you get me a club? And then you have British and Irish Lions like Rory Sutherland, who you've got into Glasgow. So, is it really? Is it a busy time for you at the minute?
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it. We're relatively lucky this year because of a lot of our lads were still in contract, so we don't have too many more to place. So it's been fairly constant throughout. There's been no period that's been any more hectic than others. But it is an odd market because, like you say, there is top players getting done very late in the day. I mean, Rory was done, I think, reasonably early, but there is a lot of players still not even done yet. We have a lot of youngsters as well, but academy's kind of different because a lot of it is about progression up the ranks of where they are. There's not too much movement. Especially within Ireland and Scotland, the likelihood is they're going to go on and play for Edinburgh, Glasgow, Leinster, Ulster, etc.
Last question, John, just about the rugby, just on the URC. You live and breathe your rugby. You watch every single minute of nearly every single game every weekend. What's been your opinion on the URC so far? The South African team's coming into the equation. You said to me you really enjoyed the Munster-Connacht game at the weekend. It was competitive for the most part, even though Munster ran out big victors. But what's your opinion?
Yeah, look, it's a brilliant competition. I suppose from having played in the Premiership, I'd be a big advocate in any competition of relegation. I don't know. I think it makes it more competitive. I think even with the Premiership, we can see there with Northampton beating Gloucester at the weekend, 90-0. I think that devalues the comp. Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see the URC where it's really competitive. I do think at the minute it's too easy for a side like Leinster to say we're going to rest up players this week because we know we're going to get 5 points next week against a side we're going to beat anyway. So I don't know whether down the line you have two sort of a split league, an A and a B, and you have promotion, relegation, the playoffs, make it more competitive. I'd like to see that because at the minute I think the top 5, 6 sides have guaranteed of home and away wins against 5 or 6 of the teams. So,
John, if you had to name the top 3 countries that pay the most.
Yeah.
What would be number 1, 2, and 3? So
I'd say what 1, 2, and 3. It would probably be Japan, then France, then Ireland. I would say
Ireland.
Wales, no.
England and Wales have probably been dented the most. Scotland's not too dissimilar, to be fair, to Ireland now.
Right.
Yeah.
South African.
Well, you're talking about. Are you talking about player wages or the profit the agents here? No.
Player wages. Any young players wanting to.
Player wages. Player wages would be Japan and France, right?
Yeah.
In front. And then I would say, I'd say Ireland and potentially Scotland after that. Yeah.
Awesome. Here, John, thanks very much for coming on, big man. Appreciate your time.
Cheers. Thanks.
During the week. Take it easy.
Cheers.
Enjoy the rugby. All the best. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast there. You boys might have listened to it with Peter Steph Toy, and he was saying about the minutes that you play in Japan. So like paid per minute is like outrageous because you play twice the amount of games in Europe or in the URC compared to what they do in Japan. So if you're earning 500 or 600 grand in Japan, you're only playing 9, 10 games a year. It's nuts.
Did you say Japan or did you
Serious
say
cash.
Leinster? Do you say Japan or Leinster?
Same model.
It's very
model.
similar. It's very, very. I saw a stat. I can't remember. I was trying to find it then about the amount of minutes the Ospreys players had played in the starting 15 to the amount that the Leinster team had.
You couldn't find it.
You can't compare them because Leinster got 2 squads. So they basically got a European Championship squad, and they've got a URC squad. That's just the way it is. But
speaking to Greg Laidlaw, he said the same thing. He go over their seasons 5 months. They do a long preseason, but he's got like 5-6 months off a year. He's got training.
Wow. Yeah.
Mate, it's class. Like George Turner's just signed over there.
Yeah, it's good signing. I really like him, mate. I think he's a very good player.
Yeah.
He's as well, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's loose.
Yeah. He's close to that sort of red card threshold sometimes, which you want.
No, he's good. Yeah. Good man, John, for coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a good lad. Pulled Shanks out of another hole. But anyway, we'll move on to the rugby of last weekend. Shanks, you and I watched this pitch side, Bulls 40, Glasgow 34. We thought the game was absolutely done and dusted after half time, and Keenan Moody scored that try. But it was an entertaining game, and fair play to Glasgow for getting something out of it in the end.
Right, they started massively, didn't they? They started really well. Ferguson there. 2-on-1. I love that sometimes. You've got to score at mine, but didn't care whatsoever. It was a bit of a tit for tat, wasn't it? Front line out peels. And then the Bulls just ended up pulling away. And I was worried that it was going to be a bit of a whitewash for Glasgow because they just couldn't deal with the pace. They couldn't deal with the power. They looked tired.
The heat, mate. 30 degrees. I mean,
I said that about the Scarlets game, and the boys laughed at me because it was 27. It was 27 degrees.
I didn't laugh.
It was 27 degrees in Fletley, and you're going to get tired, for sure. But look, Andress was amazing. I mean, he's probably the best winger, one of the best wingers in the world, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
He's so good. Moody's good. We've yet to see the best of Kane and Moody, boys. Honestly, I watched him play New Zealand. At Twickenham, and he played in the centre, and I thought, wow, this kid is going to be in the World Cup starting 15.
What's his best position, Shanks? Obviously, former centre yourself. Where do you think he's best suited?
I think he's going to buy his time, and I think maybe 13 because he's got pace, and if you got pace at 13, that is just an added bonus. But John, Glasgow, fair play to him coming back, finishing within 7, and a bonus point try. That's huge for them in terms of trying to finish top 1.
Yeah, I actually watched it and I was like, I know I always talk about altitude and joke, but there's like no way in that heat against that power. And I think Glasgow will struggle against big power teams, but then you add in that, I thought 2 bonus points. Dunky Weir.
Bog-brush head.
Yeah, Bog-brush came on, scored a try and kicked a penalty to take them to 2 bonus. So that's kept them top of the table. So there's talk of them playing the final, if they get there, of course. If they get through a quarter and a semi, but it'd be massive if they get, home draws for quarters and semis.
Ibrox or Celtic Park, John? Where's it going?
Murrayfield.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a football game on it at Parkhead, which they played it in. They played it Stuart Hogg's last game, I think.
No, that was Celtic Park.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. They're already talking, saying it's going to be Murrayfield if they get there. Which would be class.
I've done a predicted table again. I do one every week at the moment.
You love it.
Yeah, I do.
So much time in your hands.
I think I still think Leinster are going to finish top, and I think it's going to be a Glasgow Leinster final in Dublin, which means we can play golf on the Friday.
Where we're playing,
we can cover that. We can cover the final on a Saturday. We can have lashings of. Diet Coke.
Alcohol.
Surely, it's been 3 years now. One game.
Well, Ben Egan and Gav Muldoon, like our producers at Premier Sport, like really, really need to pull the finger out. A bit like the Scarlets.
What a segue.
Oh, a bit like the Scarlets, Shanks. Hey?
Yeah. Well, we were there. And to be fair, I thought for 20 minutes, the Scarlets were pretty decent. They held up Ulster over the line 3 times. They went down to 13 men. Discipline was shocking, though. Really, really bad. There's like 4 instances of slapping the ball, slapping
Shanks, just on that, sorry to stop you. How does Peely deal with that? Like, how do you get that out of the players? This has just been a constant all season long.
Yeah,
it's not changing.
A
couple of years. A couple of years. So like obviously it's a culture thing. Is it people not taking accountability for what they're doing? Like,
well, a few of them were like Kanamafomi, Lausi, and Fafita have been a few of them over the last few years that have got red cards and a lot of yellow cards, and that is a culture thing. That is modern day rugby, and these guys really are sort of coming in old school, if you like, so still used to the high hits. But it's obviously a nightmare, and it's really hard to build a bit of culture when you're losing and you're trying everything, and you're actually probably trying too hard to try and win these games, and you're forcing stuff. So it is a bit of a nightmare. But second half, Stevie, I mean, Ulster ran it straight from the off. They were against 13 men, and Stuart McCluskey. Was it Stuart McCluskey try?
Yeah, Stuart McCluskey try just after half time. And then Nick Timoney, McCann, and Stockdale with the last one. And then, like Ulster took a few players off. Scarlets got a bit of a foothold in the game. They had 9 backs or something on the pitch at one stage.
Yeah, they're 3 centres.
Yeah, 3 centres on playing.
We tried to count them. It was mad.
You were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
Hey, Stevie, before you crack on, tell me about Cormac Izuchukwu.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Actually, he was sent a number of pictures after the game on the way home, the way back to the airport, that he had scored one of the tries in the first half. It's plain as day. It literally falls on his underneath his arm. Sorry, but just where the referee was, the camera angle, we couldn't see it. So unfortunately, that was chalked off. Otherwise, I probably would have given him man of the match. He was absolutely superb. He's a sevens player, sevens background. He's played for Ireland in the sevens. So he's got pace, very fit. Like, he walked off the pitch, hardly even breaking sweat. Like, and as you say, Shanks, you were sweating buckets and it was roasting out there. So, you know, he's a quality operator. He was played in the second row quite a bit. He plays second row for club rugby here for Ballynahinch. But I do think he's a bit of maybe not as explosive as Ryan Baird, but when you're that sort of size and you have that physicality, the back row where they've been really lacking, like take out Timoney and McCann out of that back row, you're going, oh, geez, you know, we're struggling here. So he's been a really good find, and hopefully he plays against Leinster this weekend. And just on that game,
hold on,
I'm hearing that Leinster are bringing up a very weak inside. So it could be another good result for Ulster this weekend. But anyway,
John, hold on. I want to ask John a question. John,
all right,
what is going on with Scarlet's line-out, mate? Scarlet's line-out been an issue all year. Couldn't win 2 big line-outs 5 meters out. Like, what is it? Is it coaching? Is it calls? Because like that is set piece. So granted, you're under a bit of pressure, but you don't have to create really like you do tries. It's a closed skill, if you like.
I don't know. Like when I was there, I was always surprised by the line. Our line out literally was just wherever Aaron Shingler was, throw the ball there. I mean, I'm talking like that was it. Like, and I don't know if that's like a cultural thing of just a really basic line out. But they've got good hookers. They've got Lausi, who's a good jumper. I think they're probably lacking like someone fast off the ground. But yeah, against Edinburgh, that's what I think they lost 5 or 6 in a row on the trot.
Are they lacking intelligence? Like, because obviously you have to but you like that's a serious question, because you have to be intelligent to call lineouts. You need a rugby IQ. You're right. You know, so I don't know. Lineouts down.
You need a rugby geek, don't you, in lineout? You look at all the callers are like rugby geeks, or like really like that detail. I don't know. I don't know who's calling the lineouts. But like, you talk about their game and like there's so many bits wrong with it. And you think, line out is a block skill which we can work on, and we should be winning the ball every time, 90% of the time. And I don't know what their percentage is, but it'd be pretty low. Yeah,
it was around 60, 70, I think, on the weekend. So
yeah.
Right,
and Ryan Elias is pretty good hooker. Like, He's quite good. So maybe with Fafita and the other guys missing, definitely hampers them. Anyway, Sharks, another loss at home, went down, last minute try, Umaga against Benetton, 25 points to 24. What a game. Like, I was sort of keeping up with it, but it was 12-3, and Benetton had to score next. They had to get the next score. I think if Sharks had kicked on from there, they would have won the game, and they didn't. And the best player in the Six Nations, Tommaso Menoncello, he gets himself over for the try. And then they just kick on. Lucchesi gets another try. And this is something I've been really impressed with, Shanks, this season, is Benetton just hang in there in games now, where over the last decade, they would just go out the gate. The heads would go down, and they would just leak in easy tries, and finger pointing at everybody else. But they've got a bit of a pack now, much better set piece, a couple of half decent centers, and they just look like a much better coach team.
Yeah, when I saw this score, I automatically thought that Sharks had just rested their team like Gloucester did against Northampton, just not humiliated as badly as them. But they hadn't. They had the big name players were playing, and it's a huge result. I mean, the Sharks will obviously have a little eye on Champions Cup Challenge Cup in 2 weeks. But you're right, Stevie. They did unbelievably well to do that. That's a huge result for them because they're very good at home, really tough at home. They've only lost to Glasgow at home all year round. It's just their away form has dipped a little bit. But look, for Benetton, it's going to come down to. I mean, this is the big shock. There was a red card to Venter, and obviously they had a one-man advantage when Uman goes over. But this was the big shock in terms of top 8 because this puts them in top 8, I think. And for me, it's going to come down to that last game against Edinburgh of the season as to whether they qualify or not. And it's at home in Italy. So huge for them. Well done.
Yeah. There's going to be a big one.
Yeah, really good. Speaking of big ones, 61 points. Leinster racked up against the Ospreys. Again, watched the game, and the Ospreys weren't bad. Like they were okay. They were hanging in there, playing some good rugby. But Leinster were just unbelievable. And Shanks, just a quick word on the Ospreys first.
Look, they started off pretty well, but they didn't score after 20 minutes. And look, they were well beaten, but it was a full strength Leinster team. And I hate to say it, right? There's not many teams that can compete with Leinster in this league. It just isn't. There's just not. They're not good enough. They don't have the budgets Leinster have, and there was no realistic way that the Ospreys were ever going to win this game with the quality that was on show because they just can't compete. It's not like for like. So they did all right. I just found it, Stevie, a little bit. Some of their defense was a bit iffy from the Ospreys. I felt that they made it too easy for Leinster to score. But Jimmy O'Brien was excellent. There were so many good players.
Look at the bench coming on.
I know.
You say talking to John Andress there about squads and who's spending the most. I mean, Leinster, I don't know what their budget is, but who they bring on? They brought Conan, Gibson Park, and Sheehan on at the same time. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do? Yeah. And that's how you unbelievable. The guys that weren't playing. Look at who they rested. James Lowe wasn't playing. It's like, well, yeah. You don't want to say Arsenal Ospreys. They're not going to get close. They're never going to get close to that.
Nope, not
somebody who wasn't playing, Shanks, Gary Ringrose. And I know you're a big fan of Jimmy Osborne, and Henshaw obviously played 13. Do you reckon if Ringrose is fit for the next couple of games that he gets in there because he hasn't played in a number of weeks? I know you rate Ringrose pretty highly as well.
1,000%.
Jimmy Osborne has been class.
Ringrose, mate. You'd have him in.
Yeah,
big game player.
Who do you play at 12 then?
Henshaw. Yep.
Yeah. Well, they were pretty good. They're pretty good. 12 clean breaks at the weekend. Leinster 2, Ospreys 2. Like they've still got James Lowe to bring back. Hugo Keenan, he looks like he's going to be coming back. James Ryan looks like he's fit to come back. And Gary Ringrose, who just mentioned.
Fitzpatrick's left a message, Steve. Shanks, usual Welsh poo.
Shanks, usual Welsh. Most Leinster players have played Rugby World Cup, Six Nations plus.
Plus what?
Hard.
Plus what?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm making a point about the amount of URC games, the amount of minutes played. Not URC, games this year.
Listening to Lawrence Delano too much, unfortunately. Whoever that was. Munster versus Connacht.
I'll fight you, Gerard.
I didn't actually see this game, Shanks, but I know there were some unbelievable tries that were scored. John, did you get to see this one?
So I caught the highlights. Munster, I quite fancy Munster to win it this year.
Yeah, so do I.
I just think the way that I hate that kind of they're peaking and you don't choose to, but they just seem to have hit their straps. They had a bit of a dip, but everyone looks fit. They got everyone on the pitch. I just think they're playing good rugby. They're organised.
Back three are sharp, John. Really sharp.
I just think they're just defense. I mean, yeah, you look through their game, it's like, well, it's hard to see how they're going to get beaten physically. And their game, their attack is so much better than it was last year, I think. And they won it last year. So I wouldn't say dark horses because they're champions, but I think Leinster will be everyone's favourites, I'd assume.
There's 5 teams that can win it. There is 5 teams that can win it. Like I believe on their day, they are as good as anyone. Glasgow, Leinster, Munster, Bulls, Stormers.
I tell you,
either of them, if they perform to best of their ability, can win it.
It's hard to disagree.
It's great. It's what you want.
Home advantage. That's why this weekend is.
Yeah.
Well, Glasgow got to go to. They're going to Bulls, aren't they? No, they got to go to the Lions. So,
yeah, Glasgow going to Lions, which will be tough. And then they've got February home.
They could get 5 points, and then they could sit top, and then they're.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all exciting.
Yeah. The only thing with me for Munster is their front row. Jeremy Loughman, Niall Scannell, and Stephen Archer, who's about 59. So, I know, any front row forward, that's played, no scrum, no win. Simple as that. And I think when they come up against the big teams, I just don't think the front row is going to be good enough to win them another URC title. I hope I'm wrong. They can dig in at times, but I think they might just come up a little bit short. Anyway, Lions 34, Cardiff 13. Shanks, Cardiff. We were all thinking Cardiff were, on the trajectory, the positive one, moving forward. And then, every week, I look at the league and they're just dropping. And even though they've played some half-decent rugby at times, they're just, again, when they go a score or two down, their heads just drop and they're out of the game.
Well, honestly, Stevie, I think there still might be a bit of a hangover from Ulster where there was uproar. It was in the papers about them not winning that game. Matt Sherritt got banned and fined because of the way he spoke to the ref, and it was all over the papers about what a disgrace it was. And I'm not going into that game. I'm not digging up whole graves again. But we sort of bigged them then up against Edinburgh, and they didn't perform in that game either. And they just had a slow start against the Lions, and they paid the price for it. They had some chances, but Lions capitalised on theirs. They switched off for a couple of times. There was a quick tap penalty, and Venter quick tapped it. And I don't know. I mean, both of them and Winnett played okay, but they just looked off it. And you're right, they have been playing some good rugby, and they've come close. They've got 9 losing bonus points, which is unheard of, really. So they were sticking in games, but I think now it's a case of there's nothing left to play for.
Yeah,
let's just finish the season, start again, regroup, and come out positive.
Yeah,
John, do you think the Lions can beat Glasgow this weekend at home?
I mean, they can. They're tough at home, aren't they? I just think there's so much to play for Glasgow. That doesn't get you a win. Obviously, I just think over there, fully loaded, be tough mind in the heat and altitude. Shanks, just going back, I don't know if it's harsh. I don't think some of the Welsh teams look very fit.
No,
I think Ospreys are probably the exception. I look at the body shapes and you see them flagging. I know that Edinburgh Scarlets game was hard because they, it's hard to defend and blah blah blah. But I always think the conditioning and the shape of the player. I'm always a bit surprised by that.
I just think a lot of it. Yeah, I'm with you. I think a lot of it is the amount of times the amount of game time where you have to defend.
Yeah,
and a lot of these teams are defending for large periods because we're we're not as good as who we're playing against. So therefore, it's a lot harder to defend than it is to attack. And I don't think we look fit enough. I do agree. We looked at the Scarlets on the weekend, and they didn't look like they could keep up the pace.
No,
with old stuff.
Definitely not.
Same with the Dragons against the Stormers, which we'll get onto in a bit. But yeah, I do. And for 3 teams in this league, John, like they just want the season to end because it's been such a disaster. And the worst thing is now is it's going to get worse next year. I swear it is because we're losing more players. There's less of a budget until the strategy from the WRU comes out and explains where Welsh Rugby is going, what we're doing. We can't afford 4 teams, but all 4 teams are shareholders, so no one's forfeiting their team. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just quickly on that, Shanks. I know John Andress mentioned it there briefly. Do you think the URC could possibly work better when I know the 3 Welsh teams would be in, say, Division 2? Trying to get that promotion into Division 1, but would it make them more competitive week in, week out?
I think.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah, there's a few options, Stevie. We've got this new league set up called the EDC in Wales, which is sort of a development league. So 10 teams are in there. So that has been set up. Now, I think we'd be better off with 2 teams in the URC and 2 teams in this elite development competition, because 4 teams just isn't working in Wales at the moment. So
it's not.
In order for Wales to be more competitive, the talent has to be sort of condensed into 2 teams, I think, and we'd be far better. And then you have 2 teams in the elite development competition. So there is other options as well, but yeah.
Well, one of those teams, one of those Welsh regions that are actually starting to spend a bit of money, Philo Tia has been announced as their defence coach for next season. Is it new ownership as well, Shanks, at the Dragons?
Yeah, 3 new owners. So that formerly the WRU owned maybe all or the majority of the Dragons. Now it's privately owned by 3 people. They've got an equal share of 33% in the company. So, and they're enthusiastic. They want the Dragons to do well, so they are trying to sign. They've got a new CEO. They've got a new defensive coach in Tier 2. I think it's probably the best signing of the lot in terms of culture, in terms of being a legend.
Yeah. Where's he come from? Where was he coaching before?
Japan, I think, mate. Japan.
I
think he was in Japan. But he's also done sort of Moana Pacifica and other teams. So he's got quite a lot of experience. He's obviously a cult hero in Wales anyway. He's a big bloke. And all of a sudden, you get someone like that walking in the change rooms. I don't care what you think is going to happen and what's not going to happen. You step back and you think, whoa, hold on. You have to be careful how you hold yourself in this regard. But look, the Dragons started off pretty well, and it was pretty similar to the Connacht game, in all fairness. They were close they were 21-23 down until 71 minutes. There was a yellow card to Martinez. They were 20-all against Connacht a couple of weeks before. So there was a red card to Carter. They lost that game. And then in 9 minutes, Stormers scored 21 points, which is mental.
Yeah.
Like Evan Roos was brilliant. Diamani, when he came on, was just as good. Manny Lebock was awesome. Warren Gallant, they had one opportunity in the first half off a turnover ball, and Gallant went through, grubbed it through to Davids to score. And Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu came on and scored a brace of tries. So for 9 minutes, boys, Sasha, Feinberg and Gomazulu.
You've been practicing that, definitely. You're looking down. You've got notes written down phonetically, haven't you?
In the mirror.
Yeah.
But for 9 minutes, Stormers, boys, they're world champions.
Yeah. Stormers away to Connacht this weekend. Is that right?
Stormers have got Connacht away and Lions.
That's a big game. That is a big game. That is a big game.
Yeah.
Connacht need a bounce back. So they do. And quickly, last game of the weekend there, John. Final word to you. Edinburgh 40 points to 14. The scoreboard probably doesn't reflect how the first 50 minutes of the game went, because Zebre hung in there like they did last year when you and I were commentating on it. But you got to give this Edinburgh team a bit of credit, especially the front row union who scored a couple of tries.
Yeah, it was closer, definitely. I just think I'm a bit confused with Edinburgh at the moment. Like, what's their identity? Because you look at the criticism under the Richard Cockrell era, one of many, was that they were too one-dimensional, and they played this forwards game. And then Mike Blair came in, and it was all out attack. And then we saw at the start of the Sean Everett era, it was like, well, it's a blend. And like you look at the games recently, and I'm not trying to sort of poke holes at it, but it's like it's all forward dominance. The tries, pick and goes, maul, they're kind of reverting back to a type. So I just think when it gets to the big games, they probably don't have enough in their armory to really give someone a good go. One of the top four sides, but maybe not many can. So I still think they're lacking a bit in the centres a little bit. I think Tui Pelotu's brother signed there, who I think they're hoping is going to be a bit more, give them what Tui Pelotu's given to Glasgow, because they missed that a bit. But they're sitting pretty decent. They've obviously got Munster on Friday, which will be huge. They won't have the benefit of knowing what the table looks like, will they? They'll have to go in and against the
How
Munster
many points do you reckon they'll get from Munster home and Benetton away, John?
Yeah, I don't know.
1 point, do you reckon? Or is that being
I think Benetton away is
unrealistic?
I think they've got a better chance against Munster at home, bizarrely. Even what I'm saying, but you look, they're on 48 points.
I think 49 is enough. I think 49 is enough in the top 8, because then it comes down to wins, and they've got quite a lot of wins, to be fair.
Yeah, Connacht are going to struggle, I think, to catch them in the Lions. So
I think Connacht Lions will struggle as well.
I think they get. I'm with you. A couple points. I think
49 is enough.
They could easily lose both those, though.
Yeah.
With nothing the way it's going. So
it's wicked though. Like, it's so exciting. Like, last 2 games to see who finishes top 8, see who gets into Champions Cup. The biggest thing will be Sharks beating Gloucester, because then it's top 7.
Yeah.
Oosh.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me, lads, if Stormers get beaten by Connacht this weekend, and then all of a sudden Connacht have something to play for.
Yes.
And then I'm telling you, last game of the year in the sports ground, sunny evening in Galway, everybody, like, the atmosphere will be brilliant. And in fairness, nice sunny evening will probably suit the Stormers more than it'll suit Connacht.
Connacht play Leinster away. That's the only thing, Stevie.
Leinster away in the last game. Yeah.
Connacht were my dark horse. They shafted me, so no.
Stevie's dark horses were Scarlets this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Were they?
Yeah.
Expert now.
Oh God.
I convinced him.
Oh,
yeah, fuck, so year. Bad. Well, when I said dark horses, I meant that they were possibly going to, like, slip in the back door to the top 8. But anyway, that could be my rant of the week. Are you guys got any rants of the week? JB, we'll start with you. Have you got anything?
Yeah, I'll probably get criticised for this, but don't really care. I just think you look at. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. There's loads going on in Welsh Rugby, right? And I put it on our chat group. I'm like, you look at the guys leaving Scarlets, like Ken Owens, Scott Williams, Jonathan Davis, like British and Irish Lions, like club legends, and you get, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 to their last game. Like, I think you talk about a club at the heart of, where it is, and I'm like, I just can't get my head around that. I think those guys deserve way more than that, and I think, I look at my last game, then a couple other guys are leaving, and stadium's packed. Not because it was us, because obviously the region was doing well, but I'm like, I think those guys deserve it more. It's too easy to say, they're not doing very well, but like Ken's been there for like 45 years or something. I just think, I was a bit disappointed by that.
They also had 20-year anniversary of when they won the league in 2004, I think, to try and get
loads of lads
through. But yeah, I agree with you, mate. Like, they are proper legends that were there, and they deserved a full stadium.
I will say, if you show up wearing what Ken Owens showed up wearing, retirement's got him early.
You didn't like my shirt, though, did you?
Oh, mate. You look like a surveyor. That's why I messaged you. You look like a surveyor, and you.
Julian Surveyor or Ardy Surveyor?
You bet you had one of those. Is it a Shoffley gilet as well, or something you see in the city?
JB, you should have smelt him standing beside him. Oh my God, he was sweating so much. Like he was horrendous. Horrendous. Anyway, Shanks, what's your rant?
I had 6 sausages as well, didn't I?
No, seven sausages.
Oh, mate, 6. They only come in packs
Seven
of
sausages.
6. They only come back in packs of 6. Feeding the scrum is my rant.
No, they come in packs of 8. You had 7 and gave one to the dog before you left the house.
I don't have a mate. You can't call my lovely wife that. I don't have any animals. Feeding and
Wife doesn't like sausage.
Feeding and scrum. Yours. She's pregnant. Feeding in scrums, lads. It's getting ridiculous now. I've had enough. Like we're getting rugby leagued.
You don't have to put it in straight anymore.
Hey?
You don't have to put it in straight anymore.
Do you not?
No.
Where'd you have to put it then?
It's some bizarre rule that as long as it goes in where near the middle of the scrum, you can put it in and roll it back now. Mate,
you can't just
hold on. You can't just throw it back surely.
Roll it back. You don't have to put it in the middle anymore. I promise you.
All right. Well,
I promise you. Because remember the ball was getting stuck in the middle. In all those scrums, so they changed this. They don't have to put the ball in the middle anymore.
Jeez, that's news to me.
But you can't throw it into the second row's legs, John.
You can't roll it back, yeah.
Okay. So, but part of putting the ball in is that you have to hook for it, which means
that's true. You still have to hook it. So you have to put it straight, but you still got to hook it.
Mm.
Yeah, you don't see any hookers hooking it these days, really, do you? No. They just try and walk over the top of it.
No one wears shin pads anymore.
No,
so, yeah,
no rants of the week. No rants from me, lads. Well, maybe a rant actually. No. Shanks's mate, the taxi driver.
I've got the rule. Sorry, Stevie. The scrum half still has to put the ball in straight, but is allowed to align his or her shoulder on the middle line of the scrum. So your shoulder's in the middle of the scrum, but the ball doesn't have to go in the middle. There you go.
So yeah, you made it up. You can't just throw it in.
Yeah, I didn't say that. You said you're sick of people not putting the ball in straight. They don't have to put it in straight.
It wouldn't start up in court, John. All right.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah,
anyway, sorry.
Now,
back to you, Stevie.
That's all right. That's all right. No worries, John. Well, that was worth it. Yeah, my rant is Shanks' mate, the taxi driver. He got me to Barclay Scarlets 3 minutes before we went live on air. He was just talking, just cruising around, just like, stuck in a bit of traffic. Oh, no problem. We'll just take it easy. There was no trying to overtake people. So yeah.
He turned up with about 5 minutes to go. And he was still hugging people with 30 seconds to on air. Honestly, he was dishing hugs out. He's a top hugger. I've never seen anything like it. Male, female, just hugging.
Yeah. They love it. New segment, guys. It's inbox segment. And I believe we have 5 questions in the inbox segment this week. And what throws up the first question? Fez gave McCluskey player of the match on Saturday. Was it an olive branch, Tom? Very good, Tom. Very good.
I should have mentioned it when I did the interviews, but
I thought you were switched on, Shanks. I thought you were going with it. I thought you were leading with it, but you got really flustered when you threw the McCluskey. Congratulations on your first try of the season in the URC, and he went, "What?"
I read that from Martin Gillingham's notes, and I wish I hadn't now. Honestly, it flustered me a bit. I didn't have time to even prep any questions. I kept saying, how important? It was terror.
No olive branch. No, I haven't seen him actually. I think when he done his player of the match interview, I was sort of wondering about the pitch. Caught up with a couple of other Ulster lads on the way over to presentation, but no, I haven't caught up with them. What do they say? JB, kill them with kindness. Is that what they say? In situations like that. So, in fairness to him, he did play very, very well. He is, and I wouldn't be I wouldn't hold grudges against somebody for not playing well. I'm not that type of person. So that's that. Next question.
Moving on.
Did Barclay feel left out watching the Fez Shanks bromance play out on Saturday? From Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a good question. I didn't, because I was spending time with my family, and I also knew that we're going to get to hang out this weekend in Belfast. I'm going to have some pints. It's going to be lovely, and the sun's going to be out. So we spend a lot of time together. So it's important.
I'm going to have to wear the hat. I'm going to have to wear the cap this week, aren't I?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What about when Martin Gilliam said to you, "You don't need a babysitter, do you, Fez?" And I said, "He does on a night out."
Yeah. Martin was good crack now. Third one, where would the guys like to see the URC final take place this year? I think it's Dublin.
Do you think it's going to be better to have a neutral venue?
Yeah.
Like you can have up to semis in highest ranked places, but in terms of preparing for, I don't know. I just think it might be easier to have a neutral venue every year.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Like, look at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the Champions Cup final and the Challenge Cup final on the Friday night and the Saturday. That's class. People can then book a trip to London for the like.
You could grow rugby in other countries like Portugal or Spain, anywhere like that. You know, it could be amazing.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Premier should do it. Every year, I'm like, it's going to be in the Aviva, which is like Leinster's second home. Here we go again. No.
Yeah.
Neutral.
There's so many good stadiums around the world, boys. Like in Europe,
Yeah. Old Trafford. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Really enjoyed Ian Madigan and Gareth Anscombe in the Premier Sports Studio on Saturday. Do tens make the best pundits, Sean? Mads' shirt was absolutely horrific. He needs to get that looked at. That was he needs to go to get himself a, what do you call that? Personal dresser.
Yeah.
Stylist.
That's the one. I knew you would knew that, John.
Taylor.
No, that was a green cord shirt.
Yeah,
he's quite edgy, isn't he? Wears quite fruity.
He could pull it off. Like
they're both very knowledgeable, aren't they? So I bet there was no smiles, but they were full of insight.
No, not much crack, but lots of insight. Two good boys. What's Anscombe like, Shanks?
Yeah, I like him. He's he's good. He's not. He's quite to the point, which I like. Like he's not afraid to ruffle any feathers, which is good. So
yeah,
you got to be like that, I think.
Like us three.
Yeah.
Last one. Which out of you three would best take a headbutt from John Fury? Also, Usyk Fury.
Not me. My nose is too big, and you touch it and it bleeds.
Yeah, I'm the same. Nose is buggered. Too many concussions.
The thing is with Fury, he headbutted him and then ran.
Yeah, you'd have a head guard on though, so I'd say you, Stevie.
Yeah, I'd have the head guard on, protecting the hair follicles. Anyway, lads, that's us done. We're done with the inbox segment. Just final thoughts for round 17 this weekend. We'll just run through. We've only a couple of minutes left. So Friday night, I'll be over with you, John Boy, in Edinburgh, Munster. I'm going to go for a Munster win.
Munster win.
Yes. Yeah, Munster win. I think maybe Edinburgh might get a bonus point.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Zebre Scarlets on the Friday night as well. This is a game. This is going to be one for the ages.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Zebre.
Yeah, it's close. I'm going to say Scarlets.
Yeah. I'm going to say.
And on Saturday afternoon, live on Premier Sports, we also have Bulls versus Benetton. I can't see past the Bulls in that one.
No way. Bulls all the way.
Ospreys Dragons, Welsh Derby.
Ospreys.
By a load.
Ospreys.
I think they get bonus point. Yeah. They have to get 2 bonus point wins, I reckon, to even stand a chance of getting a top 8.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. Lions versus Glasgow.
I think Lions.
Glasgow bonus point win, I think.
That'd be amazing if they did. I think maybe Lions.
Yeah.
Because who have Glasgow after?
Zebre home after.
Yeah, you think about yeah.
So if Glasgow get 5 points and then they're more or less guaranteed 5 points at home, they are they finish top. Yeah.
No point.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a Glasgow win then. I'm gonna go for a Glasgow win. Connacht Stormers.
Stormers by a load.
No.
Stormers
love
by...
Connacht, John.
No, I did.
Stormers were average for 70 minutes, honestly, but they were also against a pretty not that great Dragons team.
I'm going Connacht.
Stormers by 20.
Stormers by 7.
Ooh.
Connacht by 10. Sharks versus Cardiff.
Stevie, man, what are you on?
Well, we'll wait and see. Sharks versus Cardiff. I'm going Sharks. We're all going Sharks. And then the finale with us three Musketeers in Belfast. Ulster versus Leinster should be an absolute belter if Leinster send up their B team, which by all accounts I think they're doing. So I think Ulster might nick this one if the rumours are true that Leinster are sending up a weakened side. However, they do have James Lowe to get some game time, Hugo Keenan, as I mentioned, James Ryan, Gary Ringrose, and probably Jack Conan. And then you can probably put in Nag Thai into the centre, bring on, Cian Healy in the front row.
Jimmy O'Brien was awesome at the weekend.
Jimmy O'Brien. So, they'll still cause Ulster a few problems, but I think with the signing of Richie Murphy there for another 2 years at Ulster, I think it's going to be sold out as well. It should be a good atmosphere. 14,500 last home game as well. So I'm going to go for an Ulster win. Why not?
Leinster. Every time I've doubted Leinster, they've proven me wrong.
Bring it back down, mate. You were listening to players they had to play. I was like, there's no way.
I know.
Leinster too good. We could play golf on Saturday, lads.
No, you can't. I keep telling you this, John. No, not on Saturdays. You can't play golf over here on Saturdays because it's members only.
Okay, I'm playing.
Get with it.
I'm playing tomorrow now.
There's no private courses over here, unfortunately, like your neck of the woods. But anyway, we'll get a game of golf, lads. Hopefully in the semi-final or final in Dublin or Belfast. Who knows? But thanks so much for your time. Everybody, hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to tune in on Friday and Saturday to watch all the games live on Premier Sports. So until next time, cheers.